My name is Harold, and for 10 years I've been the dutiful, if somewhat uninspired, president of the Sweetwater Crossing Homeowners Association. Our community, a quaint collection of pastel-colored houses and perfectly manicured lawns, has always been a model of suburban tranquility. Our biggest concerns were the occasional unapproved mailbox color or a lawn that hadn't been mowed in a few weeks. But all that changed the day Mildred moved in. Mildred was, to put it mildly, a force of nature. She was a woman of sharp angles and even sharper opinions, her hair a helmet of perfectly coiffed silver, her gaze capable of wilting a rose from 20 paces. She arrived in a cloud of dust and an air of grim determination, and within a week, she had already submitted her first complaint. It was about my azaleas. "Harold," she began, cornering me on my own lawn, her voice a low, menacing purr. "Your azaleas are a clear and present danger to the aesthetic integrity of this neighborhood." I stared at my azaleas. They were a cheerful, riotous burst of fuchsia, a stark contrast to the perfectly symmetrical topiary bushes that lined Mildred's pristine walkway. "I'm sorry, Mildred," I stammered. "I think they look quite nice." "Nonsense!" she declared, as if my opinion was a personal affront. "They are asymmetrical, a cacophony of color, a blight on the landscape. They are not in accordance with Section 3, subsection B of the HOA bylaws, which clearly states that all flora must contribute to the overall harmonious visual appeal of the community." I knew Section 3, subsection B, by heart. I had written it. It was a vague, catch-all phrase designed to prevent people from planting anything truly hideous, like a 20-foot-tall plastic flamingo. It said nothing about fuchsia azaleas. Mildred, however, was not one for nuances. She presented her case at the next HOA meeting with the fervor of a seasoned prosecutor. She brought a chart, a pie chart no less, detailing the visual pollution caused by my azaleas. She had photos taken from multiple angles and at different times of day, proving their unharmonious nature. The other members of the board, a timid lot to begin with, squirmed in their seats. "The visual data is irrefutable," Mildred announced, tapping her pointer on the pie chart. "Harold's azaleas are causing a 37% decrease in the collective aesthetic harmony of Sweetwater Crossing. This cannot stand." I tried to argue. I pointed out the vagueness of the rule, the subjectivity of harmony, the sheer absurdity of the entire situation. But Mildred's rhetoric was a tidal wave. She proposed a motion to have my azaleas relocated to a more suitable, less disruptive environment, a euphemism for ripped out and thrown in a dumpster. The motion passed with a majority vote of terrified neighbors. The next day, a professional landscaping crew hired by Mildred herself showed up at my house. They were armed with shovels and a sense of purpose. I watched in horror as they began to dig, yanking out my beautiful, messy, wonderful azaleas by their roots. It was an assault on my property, my privacy, my very right to a little bit of floral chaos in a world of perfect order. That's when I decided I'd had enough. I wasn't just Harold, the timid HOA president, anymore. I was Harold, the victim of a floral injustice. I went to my garage and pulled out my father's old, rusty workshop tools. I had a new project. I was going to find a way to fight back, to restore my azaleas, and to remind Mildred that even in a place of perfect order, a little bit of chaos can thrive. My rebellion would not be with words or charts, but with something far more devious, a series of strategic bylaw amendments, a silent, subversive campaign of my own. My first target? Her perfectly symmetrical topiary bushes, which I had just discovered, were a quarter-inch taller than the approved height. It was time for a new kind of HOA meeting.